I get a lot of creative inspiration through my gardening practice, and when I'm building a structure for plants, there's no exception. When you're thinking about how to make a trellis for your cucumbers, your beans, or your tomatoes, there are a lot of ideas and options up for consideration. Here's my tried and true method for growing vertically in a raised garden bed. What's up everybody, this is Scott from New Garden Road, here to inform, inspire, and elevate you. If you like this video, give it a big thumbs up and spread the word. While you're at it, subscribe and get notified for more gardening action. So you've tuned in because you want to know how to make a trellis for your tomatoes, your beans, or your cucumbers. The first thing that you need to do is pick your style. You can make a flat panel style trellis. You can make a souped up tomato cage. You can also make a low profile trellis, one that's only about 3 to 4 feet tall. Alright, so there's a lot to think about when I'm designing my trellises and figuring out what type I'm going to put where. All of my raised beds are 4 feet by 8 feet, and I typically plant the trellises on the north side. I'm either going to use the 4 square feet on the end of the bed where I'll construct a flat panel trellis, or I'll use the 4 square feet in the corner on the north side, and that's where I'll build one of the big cages. Let's talk about the supplies that you'll need to build these types of trellises. Typically I'm shopping at Lowe's or Home Depot, and that's where I'll find my U-posts. It's a green metal stake and they're about 3 feet long. Next I'm going to be using my 4-pound hammer. That's a real heavy duty hammer that I can use to get those stakes into the ground 12 to 18 inches. You really want to find the most durable, heavy-duty bamboo stakes that you can find in the 8-foot range. That would be optimal. If you can only find some small ones, you can double or triple them up to increase their fortitude. The next to last thing that you'll need will be some heavy-duty UV-resistant zip ties. I use some 8-inch zip ties. They're really durable. They hold great. I love zip ties. I use a 14 gauge galvanized steel welded wire. That can be sold in different sizes. I typically get the roll that's 4 feet by 100 feet. If you don't want to use the galvanized steel wire, or you don't have access to it, you could consider using some netting or some string. You just have to get creative. Try to get something heavy duty enough to support these vegetables when they're mature and holding fruit. I'm really excited. I'm growing some pole beans for the first time. These are lima beans, and I'm going to build a simple trellis. I've had this design for many years. It's tried and true to me. It holds up well during storms when we get some straight line winds. So what I'll be constructing is a 4x7 flat panel trellis. I want to start off by taking the U-posts and driving them into the soil as far as I can get them by hand. Then I'll follow up with my 4-pound hammer and drive them in a little bit deeper. Then I'm going to take my bamboo stakes, place it in the U-post channel. From there I'll secure it with 2 zip ties. Once I've got all my bamboo in place, then I'll put in my fencing structure. I'll just take more zip ties from there and secure it to the bamboo stakes. One thing that I really like about working with this particular fencing is its flexibility. It will hold and stay in place, and it's heavy duty enough to support beans, tomatoes, cucumbers. And if I want to make a cage, all I do is I take my 4-foot width and I roll it up lengthwise, and that gives me a cage that's at about 18 inches in diameter. When I need to, I simply use some wire cutters to make a bigger opening, and then I can stick my hand in there and harvest. They might not be quite as heavy duty as the cattle panel fencing that you can get, but I can tell you I bought one roll probably 7 years ago, and I've been using it year after year, season after season, and it is held up just fine. If you're making a cage type structure, it can be a little bit trickier. You're going to use some of the power of your eyeball. What you're going to do is you're going to take that cage and put it where you want it to be, and then mark off where your U-posts need to go. You can use 2 to 3 U-posts per cage. The more you use, the sturdier it's going to be. But once you've got the place marked for your U-posts, you just drive them in, and it's the same process. Word from the wise, plan ahead. Make sure you've got your trellises in place before your plants take off. Once those plants start tendriling and vining and growing like crazy, it's going to be more difficult for you to get in there and install a trellis. Also, just think about some of those plants could be brittle. You can break the stem, you can damage them and set them back. So plan ahead, get your trellis in there from the get-go. And also, just remember, you don't have to make this trellis any taller than you're able to reach. And that's it, you're all set up. Knowing how to make a trellis for your vegetable vegetable garden makes all the difference when you're planting in a small space. Plants will be more productive, less prone to insect damage, and they'll make for a beautiful display in the garden. So you want to build a trellis. Galvanized steel welded. How we looking? Is in the sunshine, in the garden, 14 gauge. I haven't met any fire ants yet. Okay, I'm getting kind of thirsty, you know what I'm saying? Check out some of these other awesome gardening videos on my channel. You can grow your own food. Keep it organic.